Hello, mariners and viewers. I am starting a new series called The New Generation, New Technology. I am covering LNG ships, and the speaker is Mr. Ayush Manzrekar, who has worked on LNG ships.
Hey friends, good day viewers who are watching this video.
Yes.
Firstly, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ayush Manzrekar. I'm sailing with Shell as a nautical officer on LNG ships. I've completed my pre-sea training in nautical stream from Great Eastern Institute, where I had an opportunity to get introduced to Captain Kulkarni. He was a mentor, he was a coach at that time. And after that, I've completed recently my master's COC from Mumbai by Government of India DG Shipping. Just for my commercial inclination towards my shipping, I have also done master's members in Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, that is the MICS qualification. And presently, I'm sailing with Shell on LNG ships. So I have accumulated a bit of expertise in LNG, which I would like to share with you as the course of the video goes.
Okay, very good. Well said. Too, and greenhouse gases are increasing over the world. So, what do you think as an alternative fuels are available for the world?
That's a very hot topic which is going on in the shipping industry, where the whole shipping industry has been involved in finding out some alternative fuels for the traditional fossil fuels which are being used. So, to name a few, the shipping industry is concentrating on LNG primarily. The alternative can also be LPG. The alternative can also be nuclear fuels. And now there is a new development which is going on with a Wärtsilä. Wärtsilä is heading a project which suggests that ammonia can also be used as a fuel for as a marine fuel, but that is in a very primary stages. But as of now, if we talk about the alternative fuels for fossil fuel, it is the primarily which is LNG, because LNG is the fuel where the IMO has also formed a IGF code. The IGF code is basically the code which says for LNG and for fuels which can be used as a marine fuel with low flash points. So in that context, even IMO has been quite streamlined in lining up as a LNG as a marine fuel. So other fuels are still in the developmental stages, but LNG is primarily used as a fuel, marine fuel as an alternative.
Okay, thank you very much. And how much of LNG is available? Where is LNG maximum available? Can you tell, in case you have idea?
LNG's availability on the earth, it says that the statistics say that it is almost 250 years of LNG which is available on the globe as of now. So the major LNG exporting port is Qatar, which is the largest exporter of LNG. And the secondly, it can be a new project which has been coming up in Russia, which is the Yamal project. And the third also can be named as Australian LNG, which has also been exported at a quite larger amount as compared to in the previous decade.
Oh, great. You have given some great information. LNG is definitely coming up as number one in alternative fuels, and a lot of ships are also getting fuel as LNG. The new ships which are coming is LNG, and they say that even if we get less good quality of fuel, but still the greenhouse gases and the carbon dioxide will not come down. But they say in case we go to the alternative fuels, definitely it will be good for the world and especially for the environment. Ayush, can you explain me how much is the LNG market increasing? Uh, First, and where is LNG being used ashore on the ship? Of course, a lot of ships are switching over to LNG, but where is LNG used ashore on land? Over.
Okay, so the usage of LNG is primarily, if I can say with the statistics number, it says that 40% of the LNG is used for generation of power, 30% is used in industries, 10% is used in transportation, which is our normal locomotives, cars, buses, and all. And the remaining 30% has a specialized purpose in the LNG, which is used as a byproduct in industries, or which is used for manufacturing some amount of specialized products. So this is the main segregation of LNG which can be used ashore. Now, if we talk about LNG, which the how the market is increasing. So in 2019, the statistics of Shell says that the LNG was exported to the peak. Now, in the coming years of 2020 and 2021 onwards, it will be a slight drop. We can also call it due to the COVID effect, but there will be a slight drop. But however, by 2045, the statistic says that today the double the demand, it will be a double demand year as of 2045. So what, as of now, the 2019 stands, the statistics stand as 3,800 billion cubic meters of LNG demand. Now by 2040, the industry is aiming at 5,000 billion cubic meter of LNG demand. And by 2045, it will be the double, that is of 2019. So this is the potential which the LNG market has around the world, and the whole world is looking with a more of a climatic change angle, like to save the planet, to save the future. So even some statistics also say that even IMO has directed the whole shipping industry that by end of this century there will be zero emissions through shipping industry. It is a distant target, but slowly and steadily, IMO is also working progressively in that manner to phase out the traditional fuels, to decrease the carbon footprint of all the major nations and also of the shipping industry.
And is the prices of LNG coming down with the time now? I think they are nearly same as the what you call it, diesel or petrol. Can I say that?
They say that LNG, the prices of LNG are measured in MMBTU.
Yes.
MMBTU is the unit. So that is more of a calorific value of the LNG, where the LNG is
Yes.
divided into two parts, whether it is a rich LNG or a lean LNG. So
Okay.
rich and lean LNG has different uses as per the nature of the methane into it. So if I say about the prices, they say that as of now, the prices of LNG can compete with the heavy fuel oil, which is being used on the ships. But however, now like you would be aware, now recently from 1st of September, the Korean waters have already introduced a regulation where there will be an ECA area in the Korean waters. So this is an additional burden on the shipping industry as a whole, that they have to comply with the low sulfur fuel, and they have to comply in those Korean territorial waters, and if a ship is visiting a Korean port. So now slowly and steadily, whole world will be coming into the ECA areas, and there will be some emission control norms as per the country,
Yes.
variable to the country to country. So if LNG, I can say LNG is a one-time investment. There is a statistics which says that if an LNG is used, if there is a modification into the present machinery of the ship, it will take almost 11 years for a ship to recur those costs of an additional equipment or additional changes modification which is being used for a ship to use as a LNG fuel. But however, even those 11 years, though it may sound as a big years of cost repayment, but however, if slowly and steadily, once the more the norms will increase, more the regulations will increase, this cost has to be borne by the whole shipping industry.
Yes. True.
So LNG, I can say in a longer way, it is an economical fuel. And also they say that there are higher reserves of LNG than for a crude oil as of now. So sooner or later, the world has to accept the LNG as a fuel.
Okay. Well and well explained. That's extremely well explained. We are very happy about it. Okay. Which are the major shipping companies which have LNG ships?
Okay, the shipping industry in the past decade, it has increased almost threefold. If we talk about the LNG shipping industry particularly, so if I would like to highlight, Korea is the major shipbuilding industry, where the Korea is a major exporter of all the ships which is manufacturing of LNG. So Earlier, if we say about last decade, more or less it was only LNG trade was only in the hands of Shell, this Nakilat, TK, and Golar, and to name a few, it was a Knutsen LNG. So, but nowadays, even normal two LNG ships are also being taken up by small countries. Like Taiwan has four LNGs. For that matter, India has five LNG. SCA has five LNG ships which are dedicatedly on the route from Qatar to Dahej. For that matter, it is on a long time charter with Petronet, and to name a few, even I would like to highlight over here not only about LNG. Normally, most of the nations, like for example, smaller nations like Croatia, Turkey, for that matter, India, Bangladesh, they have installed FSRU, floating storage regasification unit. The countries where they don't have that much, they don't want to invest that much into infrastructure projects of building a terminal. They are just installing an FSRU. They are putting it for 25 years, and LNG ships, loaded LNG ships are coming to the FSRU. They are discharging the cargoes. Those FSRUs are converting it back into gaseous form, and they are sending it ashore. So the purpose is solved. So this way also LNG shipping industry is increasing quite a well, where a lot of countries have started importing LNG, where it was initially traditionally very few countries which were importing LNGs. And it would be a fact of pride to us that as of now, India is standing at number four in LNG importer to the
Exporter.
world. But by 2030, India is targeted to be world's number two LNG importer. So this is the potential of Indian market also in terms of LNG. Petronet is the LNG which has been mainly importing LNG in India.
Yes, well said. And I remember two things. Number one, I hope that many private players also from Indian private players come into LNG market because that is going to be definitely beneficial to them. Second is I remember our dear Prime Minister who went to Korea specially to the shipyards to have a look how exactly the LNG ships are coming up, and this much of importance has been given to LNG. And definitely, we also need to start building LNG, especially in Cochin shipyards and Visakhapatnam shipyards. Our shipyards are still not up to that standard, but anyway, that's a different issue. Okay, can you tell me what is the difference between LNG and a normal ships? Take a normal cargo ship or a tanker or a bulk carrier.
Okay, the LNG and the normal cargo ship, the major difference between them is the cargo which they carry. LNG is the cargo which is carried at a cryogenic condition of minus 160 degrees. So the cargo is liquefied to minus 160 degrees, which is the most, there is no cargo which has been practically liquefied to lower temperature than minus 160 degrees, and which can be carried in an economical way. So the major difference is the cargo which is carried. So as the cargo, it comes with the tanks. So the tanks which the LNG which are installed on LNG, those are the most costly tanks in the world. The Technigas and the GTT are the two companies which are having a patent of, I don't know, maybe 100 of years, where they are the only manufacturers of these tanks. And even if a life of an LNG tanker finishes, the tanks can still be used to that degree. The tanks have been built. So this is the major difference why the cost of an LNG which increases threefold to a normal cargo ship. So as we say, even if we talk about the shipping terminology, the salary of a person increases to the amount of the cargo which is being carried. So
Yes.
if it is a specialized cargo, of course the salary will be of a
Higher.
higher range as compared to a normal ship. So now if the cargo is specialized, along with it comes the safety parameters, the safety standards, the international IMO standards which are need to be met for that safety compliances, and everything is like 200% redundancy. Like, to just give you an example, the ships which I am sailing is having two engines. So it is like everywhere it is having four generators. So it is like 100%, 200% redundancy. If one fails, second will cope up. So that is the main factor which makes the LNG ship, which is a costly ship, and the specialized ship, which the cargo which has been carried on an LNG ship.
Okay, great. I would say you have given many new views and angles about LNG ships, which are still not known to us because you have been working in that field. We can see it on YouTube or videos, but the amount of information which you have given is quite a vast information. Okay, one last question which is there for this particular session is that do the LNG ships also have vetting? Is the vetting is there? Can you explain vetting just to the people what vetting is, and do we have vetting there?
Okay. So yes, as LNG is also coming under the category of tankers, OCIMF has a special section for vetting in LNG ships also. Same if I talk about vetting with a previous background, like vetting, normally a ship gets vet just to fulfill two primarily duties. First, it is the safety standards which has to be met, and second is the most important angle is the commercial angle. The charterers take the ship on hire, or they take it on voyage charter, or for that matter on time charter or long time charter, just because if it has a vetting, that is the cargo, the charterers have to be 100% sure that the cargo which is being carried on the ship is carried in a safer hands and on a very good ship, on a standard ships in good conditions. So yes, LNG also do have vetting. OCIMF, as I said, it has a special section for gas tankers. Like on tankers, we have ISGOT as the Bible. We always been grown up since our cadetship, knowing that ISGOT is the Bible on tankers. So similarly, SICTO is the Bible on LNG tankers. So SICTO is the Bible which defines all the construction parameters which need to be met, which operating parameters which need to be met, and everything whatever the ISGOT is for a normal oil tanker, SICTO does the function for a LNG tanker for that matter. So yes, LNG ships do have vetting, and that is more for a primarily purpose for a. Now there are again two different angles to this. If a LNG is on a spot market, then it will be having more wettings because it depends on the cargo charterers how the requirement goes. And if a LNG is on a long time charter, if the cargo owner also only is owning the LNG tanker, then of course the vetting number will be a little bit reduced as compared to a spot market LNG tanker.
Okay, that's great. You have given quite a wide idea and quite a good idea how the vetting goes and what all things are different compared to tankers. And I think this is our first session. In the second session, we will discuss more about the loading, and then later with the coming sessions, discharging, and later regarding all the machineries which are there, specially used for the cargo operation. I thank you very much for giving your precious time and hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.